To remain updated with the latest business news, click on the bell icon.
I hope you're all having a good evening, Aditya Thackeray. It's great to have you with us here at the Business Today Most Powerful Women Awards. We're talking at a time when the results that came from Uttar Pradesh in particular show that women voters determined which party won and the magnitude of victory. So far from the era where...
That's why I made it a point to come here.
Huh?
That's why I made it a point to come here.
Far from a time when it was imagined that the women in the family will vote wherever the male folk want them to. Women are showing agency when it comes to the polling booth and voting for whoever they think can take care of their interests the best, whether it is in terms of government schemes or welfare or law and order. This is a defining moment in Indian politics. How do you see this aspect, A, on a national basis and the impact it could have on the politics of your state?
Firstly, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me over here. Also a pleasure interacting with you on screen and not with the regular sparks that we have in our conclaves, the India Today conclaves, which always is fun to be. I've been a part of it since 2013, I think since I was 23 years old, and it's almost 8 or 9 years that I've been a part of this. So thank you for coming to Mumbai and hosting this here as we start off again in a sort of pre-COVID era. We don't know whether it's post-COVID era. We don't know whether it's post-COVID as yet, but yeah. In terms of women voters, of course, it is a huge leap for us in terms of voters because, we've always seen voters in the sense of whether women will step out to vote. That is the first question. Two, whether they will listen to the family and the head person in the family. Is it still a very patriarchal family and things like that? Two, sort of what all the cephalogists and all the experts make it to be in terms of the women defining where the governments go and how and who comes into the seat of power. So I think that is a huge leap of faith for our country. It is a defining moment for a democracy. I think that is very, very crucial. And for us as governments, obviously, it is something for us to look back into in terms of if we're getting our policies for families right. Because largely, if you see, what women voters go for are policies for families. And, as governments, we've always thought of infrastructure in terms of the big ticket projects, in terms of the concrete infrastructure, be it the bridges, the flyovers, the bullet trains, the metros. But we've also got to think of now as we move ahead as a democracy in our 75th year of independence, of how we build our social infrastructure. Because I think that is very, very crucial for women, the social infrastructure bit for the society at large.
We saw this first in Bihar and then in Uttar Pradesh, where women just seemed to think that the BJP was the party which was possibly best placed to take care of their interests in terms of welfare schemes and in terms of law and order, which is what held back Tejasvi Yadav and the RJD Congress combine in Bihar, and then the SP RLD combine in Uttar Pradesh. Is that something which concerns you, and what is it that you're doing in Maharashtra to ensure that what happened in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh with women voters doesn't happen in the next elections here?
Look, I wouldn't definitively say, because it's still a matter of study whether women prefer one party or another, because obviously political equations also matter a lot. There are a lot of other factors that come in. So I wouldn't say that the women choose a particular party over the other. But surely they have started to get down in huge numbers for voting, and I think that is a big change. In terms of politics, of course, 2004 to 14 was one era, 14 to I don't know how long this will be another era, so that keeps changing. So I'm not going to go into the depths of that.
What are you doing in the Shiv Sena to encourage women from the grassroots to A, become party members, and B, rise through the ranks to become significant stakeholders in your party's policy making and decision making?
I don't know how many are aware, but the Shiv Sena always has had a very, very strong women front, what we call as the Mahila Agadi. Right from the 60s when the party got initiated to now, it's probably one of the largest women organization where women at the forefront of political movements, be it political empowerment of people across the board or political empowerment of women. If you look at, that is one part of it. But if you look at two aspects which go beyond just having the women's front or the organization, if you look at the tickets, in terms of the political tickets that are given out for candidatures. Now, Sena is one party that has never really gone into religion, caste, creed, in terms of handing out tickets to people. We don't have quotas in our party saying, okay, if you're this caste, you will get so much. If you're this, we don't do that. Whoever works gets the ticket. And in that sense, of course, if you look at the share of women in Mumbai and, of course, across Maharashtra, especially for the municipal elections, because you have a lot more women stepping up stepping ahead for your local body polls than for Vidhan Sabha or Lok Sabha, be it the size of the constituency that matters or the people you have to serve or cater to that matters. But in terms of the BMC, the past 25 years, if you see the history and the record of the party, BMC has a thing where 50% of the tickets you have to give it to women, and that is for all parties across the board. The Sena is one party that's actually gone beyond it, not because of a quota or not because of the reservation, but just by natural standards, where we've given tickets to almost 67% that are women. The first, again, reservation for the mayor's post from 2017 to 2020 was for a woman, but from 2022 right now, of course, was open category, could have gone to any person. And again, we made Mrs. Kishori Pednekar, who was a woman, just by the standards of her work and her service to the city. So that is one. And of course, again, if you see largely across Mumbai, be it all the banks, be it the hotels, all the industries, wherever we have our unions, and right from all the five-star hotels to the banks to the schools, largely there's a huge amount of women who've got trained in the Shiv Sena, coaching camps for, be it English speaking, for, banking jobs, for railways jobs, and have got through as, bread earners for the family. So that's something we're really proud of.
But we saw, for example, in Uttar Pradesh, your alliance partner, the Congress came up with the Ladki Hoon Lad Sakti Hoon campaign.
Not the Uttar Pradesh alliance. We did not have an alliance there.
I know, but I'm saying your alliance partner, Congress, NCP, Shiv Sena. So in Uttar Pradesh, the Congress came up with the Ladki Hoon Lad Sakti Hoon campaign. It backfired spectacularly. 97% of the candidates lost their deposit. Now, given those circumstances, how do you square the desire for women's reservation with electability? And how do you create a conducive ecosystem to ensure that you not just give tickets to women notionally, but also ensure that they are strong enough on the ground to be able to win?
Look, again, I'm not going to go into the political analysis of it. That's your analysis. Mine could be a little different. And of course, in terms of whether the campaign backfired or whether the candidatures backfired, whether it was individuals who backfired, it's a different thing altogether. But I think largely, as far as our party concerns, or across Maharashtra, you see a lot of women coming ahead, and you see a lot of women getting party tickets or candidatures based on their track record. Yes, there is a certain trend where there's a slight discomfort where the size of the constituency increases, especially the Lok Sabha, because you've got huge sizes. Where you have local body polls, be it Mumbai, Pune, Thane, Navi Mumbai, Nagpur, you've got a lot of women in the fray, and that is a beautiful thing. Even today I had 4 or 5 events, and trust me, you'll see the pictures, there are more women attending it than men, and that is what made everyone happy. And of course, when I said this, all the people on the stage were like, Acha, what are you speaking? But I'm like, yeah, this is something we need to encourage, because when women start speaking, it is an entire family speaking.
That's interesting. So there is no pot shot which came your way saying that, okay, I want to leave that for the time being. But basically,
let's keep it for the India Today conclave.
Yeah, okay, fine. So now tell us, what are you doing in your individual capacity to try and groom more women leaders and try and bring them to the center stage and give them more opportunity?
So, I have, as a minister, I am the guardian minister of this district, which is Mumbai Suburban District, and I have 3 portfolios. One is protocol, the other is tourism, the third is environment and climate change. And again, I have 2 MOS as Ministers of State, one for tourism, one for environment. And then going beyond that, I have the MTDC to look into. And if I just give you the stats of how many women I work with on a day-to-day basis, the collector of my district is a very strong woman. And I'm really proud of the way she works. And she's been doing some great stuff here. For the last 2 years, I've been personally working in the city of Mumbai with a mayor who is a woman. All the 3 departments, where I had a choice of picking up a principal secretary to work for my department very diligently and taking it on a global stage, all 3 of them, one has 2 portfolios and one has 1, both of them are women. And my Minister of State is a woman, and the person who's the MD of MTDC is a woman. So it's largely a woman-centric office, but I can very proudly claim, and I'm not, patronizing this or being, endorsing or something like that, but it's probably one of the most efficient workspaces I've seen, because they actually get things done, and I'm very proud to be working with them. I'm learning a lot from them.
And finally, I remember when we came and did a Jab We Met with you before the Maharashtra elections, you were very passionate about urban infrastructure in Mumbai. And when we came here yesterday, spoke to people around, one of the complaints was that infrastructure projects aren't proceeding with the kind of speed and purpose that people would like. Is that just one of the flip sides of being in a coalition government, or do you think it's easier to
You
explain
have-
in a campaign? No, sure. But I'm saying in the speed which people would expect, of course, you're doing whatever you can. So what is it that you're doing in the remaining part of your tenure to try and speed up infrastructure
So Rahul,
development?
you've spoken to your friends on the wrong side of the government. I'll take you around for a tour of Mumbai anytime soon. There are a couple of aspects to this. One is, of course, when we speak about speed, yes, development projects or sustainable development projects need to have speed. But when we speak about speed, the people there, the locals, the people for whom you're making all of these projects have to be heard and heard enough so that all the issues in their minds, the doubts, the frustrations are weeded out. You have to have a dialogue with them. That is one. Two, sustainability is a huge angle. And I think we cannot just bulldoze things and, claim to do things without looking at the sustainability aspect of it or the environment aspect of it. Three, there has to be enough planning so that, two ends of the project meet at logical ends. If you look at some of the big ticket projects that are going on, the coastal road, the southbound coastal road is more than 55% done, and we'll be completing it by December 2023. The Worli-Shivdi project, which is a major crucial connector for east-west connectivity in South Mumbai, has just begun October last year. We're doing good progress on that. The MTHL, which has been pending for a long, long time, almost for 20 years in discussions, debate, the Chief Minister launched the first girder on, I think, 10th of Jan 2020. We have completed 64% of that project, slated for its completion October 2023. Today, before coming here, I started off with the Goregaon-Mulund Link Road. So these are the big ticket projects, and these are some of the projects that we're really proud of. We've been, taking reviews every month and pushing them ahead. But apart from that, what is very, very crucial for me personally is not just the big ticket, because all of these governments across the world focus on big ticket projects. I'm trying to look at ease of living. And if you look at ease of living, we need to look at the missing links of the roads, the DP roads, pedestrianization, pedestrian crossing or pedestrian refuge areas, better traffic management, aesthetic and design sense, safer schools, safer hospitals, smaller projects, smaller interventions that make your city better to walk, safer to live, and easier to, do things about. So I think that is what my focus is largely for all age groups and for all genders.
The reality of Indian politics is such that most of our politicians come from rural areas. And in Aaditya Thackeray, we have a rare exception of somebody born and brought up in Mumbai who cares for the urban centers, also because you live here, your friends live here, and therefore it is important for you to ensure that the city is much better than somebody who comes from a rural area. No disrespect, but their priorities are naturally slightly different. So it's good that you have some of these thoughts that you say that you're working on. We look forward to end results, and hopefully some of that will start showing on the projects that you just mentioned.
Our tour of Mumbai is due. We had done that long back. I think before elections, we had done the push-ups at Reclamation.
I look forward to
50
that.
push-ups are due again. Sometime
Good.
soon. Not
I
now.
see he's been working
Not
out, so
now.
therefore he's saying, 50 push-ups. Good. I'm glad that you're happy to take that on, and very happily set up another Jab We Met and we can drive around the city.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us at the Business Today Most Powerful Women.
Thank you.
Aaditya
Delighted to
Thackeray,
be
can
here.
we have a round of applause, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.